Français, français. Français, français. Français, français. Français, français. Oui, non, peut-être, mais au revoir et à...
The number 5 suggestion is word walls. That's where you take wall in your classroom, maybe a bulletin board, or if you don't have your own classroom, you use an area outside in the hallway. And what you do is you take words from an upcoming song and you compare those words with pictures. You can have your students use the title pages found with each and every song and video, and they can put a word at the bottom and they can draw a big picture to represent it. And you put those up as a reference in your classroom or in the hallways for the students to use as they're going through the process of learning the vocabulary, covering the different curriculum expectations, and doing the songs, the videos, and all the activities that come along with the songs. Number 6 is called reading between the lines, or read between the lines. This is an interesting way of looking at the vocabulary before you even delve into using the songs or the videos or any of the activities that go with it. What you do is you take the lyric sheet that's found in your package and you have the students look over the lyrics. They can first do it individually, then they can do it in pairs, and then they can share as a whole class. You can do a think, pair, share activity, for example. Students will look over the vocabulary and try to determine what they think the song is going to be about and what some of the key words are in the song. They will pair up with other members of the class, and together the two of them will discuss what they think are the important words and what they think the song may be about. Finally, as a class, come together and share what the song might be about, maybe some ideas of what they think the video will look like, and anticipate on some of the activities that they might be doing or ways that they can learn the vocabulary and be able to reinforce it so that they will be able to remember it far beyond today, far beyond the weeks, months, maybe even for the rest of their lives. Keep it canon. The students will go through the vocabulary, and what they do in groups of 2 to 4, of course you can always do it any which way you want, it could be individual or in larger groups, but I would suggest groups 2 to 4. They look through the lyrics that you have with the activity package, again, before we even look at any songs or videos or anything like that. And they make a list of words that they want to keep, meaning the key words that they think the song is trying to stress. And then they look at the words around it, and they can it. It doesn't mean they throw it away. It actually means they preserve it, as if to can, like jam or pickles. And what they're trying to do is figure out what those umbrella words, those words that surround the keywords, mean and how they may represent that particular key word. What you can do is take the song and divide it into 5 different sections and assign each section to 5 groups in your classroom. Each group will be responsible. They will be the experts for that part of the song. They will go through a keep it and can it exercise and then share their answers and their findings with the rest of the class. This is a good way to introduce what's upcoming, again, before they even hear a note of a song, see a clip of a video, or do any of the interactive activities or base sheets that go with it. Let me show you what Bob did. Bob filled this one out for the song Le Transport, and the word that Bob was assigned was une auto. So you take these sheets, which are blank and found in your activity package, called Carte vocabulaire, and you assign a word to each student. That student must do 4 things on this sheet. They must define the word in their own words. They must think and write down synonyms that are like that word. They must create a sentence using that word, and finally, draw a picture. And what you can do is take the sheets. If you're not going to put them up on a wall, you can actually put them together in the form of a dictionary. Have it as a reference in the classroom for any time students need to look up a word. Have the students take the title page that are found with different songs. For example, this one is for Français, Français. And as the students listen to the song for the first time, I wouldn't recommend using the video. You want to use an auditory example here. So you want them to use the song. And as they listen to the song, we want the students to draw what they think the song is representing. It could be anything. You have to keep it open and allow them to be creative. So what the students do is they listen to the song once or twice, sometimes even 3 times. And they begin to draw images that relate to the song, according to them. Then what we do is we take these sheets once completed and you put them around the classroom. If you have a chalkboard or chalkboards in your classroom, you may sit them along the chalkboard sill. Then place chalk along the chalkboard and do what's called a gallery walk. Students will then get up while the song is playing and walk around and look at the different art that their classmates have created. They may take a piece of chalk and above each piece of art, or one that is particularly of interest to them, they may write different words like bien fait ou ça m'intéresse, or perhaps other comments or questions regarding the artwork that they're looking at. Then, after you allow this to happen for about 2 to 5 minutes, have the students sit down. When they sit down, they will look around. The classroom, they will see all over art and comments above all the art. Then, what you do is you discuss the different pieces of art and the comments and questions that might be above the artwork. Now, nobody knows who the author of each piece of art is, so it's very interesting to ask each other questions and to make observations that are very interesting concerning the song. It's a great way to discuss vocabulary before we even really get into the videos or the activities that come with the song in the packages. I suggest doing a gallery questionnaire. Take sheets of chart paper, and on the top of each chart paper, write specific questions related to the song. Then, have students work in groups of 3 to 5, and each group gets their own colored marker. Allow students to spend between 1 and 3 minutes at each station. You take those chart papers and you put them across the classroom with the different questions. You have the same number of groups as you do questions. And what the students do is they begin at, say, group 1 starts at question 1, and they're there for between 1 or 3 minutes. And then after the 1 or 3 minutes, they go to the next chart paper and they begin to answer that question. But before they do, they will look at the answers that the last group left, and they will reflect on those. This next one's called rapid write, or even rapid draw is another thing that you can do with your students. All you do is provide them with a song title from one of the 10 songs in the program. Then, give them between 2 and 4 minutes to write as many words as they possibly can think of about that title and that subject, or 2 to 4 minutes to include as many drawings as they possibly can to represent words that they feel will be found in the song. Number 12 is puzzle pieces. Very simply, you take one of the songs and the lyrics from the program and you divide it into 5 parts. Then, take your class, divide the class into 5 parts, and each is assigned a specific piece of the puzzle. Each group will become an expert on that piece. They will be responsible for sharing the information that they've learned about that part of the song. Together, when the pieces are put together, you'll be able to see the whole picture of what the song is about before you even begin playing. Take your classroom and label the 4 corners of your classroom with 4 different key vocabulary words from a particular song that you're studying. For example, if it's Célébrons les couleurs, maybe one corner could be bleu, one corner could be rouge, one corner could be orange, and one corner could be vert. Then, at their seats, give the students about 30 seconds to consider which is their couleur préférée. Then they quietly go over to that corner. In their corners, they will then discuss why that color is their favorite color. They'll come up with 3 different reasons of why they chose that corner and not the other 3 corners. Then, each corner will have an opportunity to share with the entire class of why they chose that particular corner. At the end of the exercise, it's always fun to ask them if they would like to cross the floor. And you see if one group convinced a few individual members from other groups to cross the floor and join theirs, because now they realize, wait a minute, that's my favorite color too. This will work with all the songs actually. You can do my favorite type of transportation, for example, and label each of the four corners a different mode of transportation. And on and on. Enjoy doing quatre coins with your students. Now number 14 is called What Am I? And there's many variations of playing this game. What you do is you take the vocab from the corner to corner race game and you cut it out so that you have individual vocabulary cards. Then each student will be assigned a different vocabulary card, except the problem is they don't know who they are. What you can do is you can have the students either have the vocabulary on their back, or some people like to play it with it stuck on their forehead. And they do not know what vocabulary word they are representing. They need to walk around the classroom, all the students, asking questions that have yes or no answers to determine what vocabulary they are from the song. This is a great way for students to interact with each other and interact with the vocabulary, as they have to think of different questions and think about the vocabulary words in different ways as they frame the questions to try to arrive at yes or no answers. Number 15 is called New Verse. Now here's a great way of using the instrumental versions found on your CD. You take that song and you play the instrumental version in the classroom while students work in groups of any number that you determine to come up with new verses for the song that goes along with the regular chorus that you'll find. Then what you do is you have your groups present their verses to the class, and then you choose which verses you like. Maybe all the verses are fantastic, and what you do is you create a new song. Number 16 is Educorock Idol. Have your students work either individually or in groups and start to practice doing karaoke versions of the songs. You can have your students go visit other classes as Educorock Idol guests as they perform the songs for other classes. Number 17 has us building things one step further, and that's with school assemblies. School assemblies are an amazing way for you to get the message of how much fun French can be. So what you do is use the karaoke version of the videos and play them up on a big screen while you have an individual, a group, or entire classes singing along with the songs and getting the entire school together to sing these fun French songs found in this program. Number 18 is called Riddle Me Silly. Now basically all what we're going to do here is ask the students to get into groups and to come up with as many crazy riddles or word fun challenges that they possibly can on their own. Sometimes it's even fun to have the students come together and make a board game based on the vocabulary found in any or all of the songs put together. What happens is students stand in a long line and the first person gets to say either 0 or 1. Now some people have a variation where they can actually have the students say either 1 number, 2 number, or 3 numbers. But let's stick with just the 2 options for this moment. Say the first student says 0, 1, because they had the choice of saying 0 or 1, but they chose 0, 1. The next student now has the option of saying 2 or 2, 3. Let's imagine they went with 2, 3. So the first student went 0, 1, second student said 2, 3, and they will continue on in this manner. And now the object is to force the student beside you to say the word 10. So you want to be the one who says 8, 9 or 9. This forces the next person to say 10 and that person is out. Then you start again at 0 or 0, 1. Or you can play a game of multiples. So every multiple of 10 means the student's out. So they will actually continue. They'll go 8, 9. Oh, you're out. So that student's out. But the next student will start with 11 or 11, 12. Then 13 or 13, 14. And they will continue on until they force the next student to say 20. You continue on this game until there's one student left standing. That's the basic game of 10. Number 20 is called the ball game. And this is a perfect tool to start off every class with. You know that your students have been thinking about math or history or geography or the other subjects that they came from before they came to you for French. So what we do is we play the ball game. And there's 2 variations that I enjoy most. One is called la lettre du jour. Now, what you do with this game is you choose a letter of the day. For example, la lettre C. Now, what the students have to do is try to think of vocabulary that they've learned from the songs. And you take the ball and you ask the students to think of words that begin with the letter C, for example. The students raise their hands and we throw the ball. They say a word that begins with C and they throw it back to us. You have another student keeping track of points. And the object is to think of as many C words in French as you possibly can before we get 3 strikes, ou trois prises. The only way to get a strike is if somebody repeats a word. What's fantastic about that is that students have to be paying attention during class in order not to repeat a word that's already been said. The second variation of the ball game is called question-réponse. This is where you give them 5 minutes and you time them to see how many questions they can ask and answer. So for example, the first question might be, comment ça va? So you're tossing the ball around, it's coming back to you, and they're going, ça va, ça va bien, ça va mal. You are always the center point with the ball, so they toss it gently to you, gently to them. And another person is keeping track of the points while you're racing within 5 minutes. Now once a question has been answered and absolutely exhausted, you go to the next question, like, quel temps fait-il? Il fait beau, il neige, il pleut. And you exhaust all answers until you go to the next question. This continues on for the full 5 minutes. At the end of the 5 minutes, you look, you see how many points you have, and each day you try to break your record. I suggest playing this game 2 or 3 times a week as an icebreaker or as something to do as they're coming into the classroom or as you come into their classroom right at the beginning of the period. Now, a variation of number 20, the ball game, is to, instead of using a softball like this, I suggest using a puck. Pucks are really good. Or bowling balls. Now an anchor chart can be anything that you leave up in the classroom or leave up in the hallway that shows a total of what you've learned in that particular song. So it might be a chart, or others might like to bring in 3D representations and actually tape or glue 3-dimensional true objects that represent the vocabulary up on posters that they leave in the hallway or the classroom. Either way, what you do is you leave those things for as long as you can, if you can get away with it all year long, and it's a reference point that the students can use at any time that they're playing the ball game or doing any other activity where they need to recall vocabulary that they otherwise may have forgotten. There's many variations of exit strategies that you can find all over the internet. However, let me give you 2 that I particularly like. One is the sticky notes. Before the students leave, they have to give you a sticky note, or a ticket out as it's called sometimes, where they write down one thing that they've learned. Then you collect the sticky notes, and at the end of the period you'll be able to look and see the different things that the students have learned. Another way of doing an exit strategy is to have a chart on your board. And what students do is they take little magnets, and as they're leaving, they anonymously put their magnet in whatever category they feel they're at. If they feel they got it, they'll take the magnet, put in got it. If they feel that they're on their way to getting it, they'll put getting it. And if they still are unsure and they were confused that day, they can simply take the magnet and put I don't get it. Then, when they leave, you can look at the chart and you have a good representation of where the class is at. But what you do is you take, again, your vocabulary from the corner-to-corner race game, where you cut out individual vocabulary words and you assign them to the students in the class. Only that student knows what their vocabulary word is. The first student will start off and say, j'ai un or j'ai une, and they say their vocabulary word out loud. The next person has to go, il a. For example, say the first person says, j'ai une auto. The second person goes, il a une auto, and he goes, j'ai un camion. The next person now has to repeat my vocabulary word, his vocabulary word, and introduce theirs. And you go around in the telephone chain and you try to see if everybody can remember all the vocabulary words and who has what in their hands. Number 24 is called acting out. And basically what we want to do is to have the students play a game of charades. If you've already cut out the vocabulary from the corner-to-corner race game, you have a bunch of vocabulary words concerning that song. Put it inside a bag or a box, shuffle it up, have a student come in front of the class. They choose the vocabulary word, they hide it, they look at it, and then they have to act out that word, and the students have to guess which vocabulary word they are being. This can be a very funny game, especially if you yourself are willing to try it and be a little bit crazy. Music videos are a great way for students to show meaning for each song. What you do is you challenge your students to create videos for the students in the year 2050. Tell them that they have to make a music video that will show exactly what this song is trying to teach in the best way that they can do. So have your students get into groups of 2 to 5, for example. Pick a song, do a storyboard to map out what they plan to do with the video. Then shoot their video and present it to the class. What you can even do is bring in some popcorn and have a little movie night and show all the music videos. And you can declare different ones, Grammy winners, or you can have so much fun with the videos. But then, here's the biggest tip. Take the videos that the students do this year, and then when you have students coming in next year, show next year's students the videos from the students older than them. Peer-to-peer learning is very, very powerful, and it's a great way to introduce or reinforce the vocabulary. Have fun!
Over 4,000 screaming children packed the new East Side Arena this morning, but it wasn't to see the Spitfires practice. They were treated instead to a concert that asked the question, Pourquoi Français? Rich Garten of News has the story.
Etienne, an edu-rocker from Windsor, spit English and French rhymes to students. It's a unique blend of education and entertainment that seems to sink in. Etienne sings he wants kids to see that learning French can be cool and useful for future endeavors.
The songs and music is a great way to learn French as a second language, and it's a great way to reinforce what they've learned, and Etienne makes it so that it's good for the intermediate kids as well. That's why I brought my grade 7 kids, is because it's not little kiddie music, it's fun to dance to, and it's for the older kids.